Hey friends, it is Ryan Frank. Welcome to our VBS training today. So glad that you're here. Zoom, thank you for being here. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to get logged in. We're also going live in the I Love Kidmin Facebook group. So those of you that are scrolling through your Facebook, if you have a few minutes, we'd love to have you join the conversation. We are talking today with Amber Pike, Ryan Carter, and soon David. Ryan, help me. Choate.
Mm-hmm.
Choate. All right, David Choate, David Choate. Ryan and David work with a great ministry called Sharefaith Kids. You've seen Sharefaith Kids in KidzMatter magazine. This is a wonderful ministry, and we're going to talk to you more about them later on. But today we're going to talk about VBS. Are you ready for VBS? Because it is coming soon. Amber, how you been?
I'm good. I actually was working on VBS stuff today. I was cutting out those postcards.
Were you really? It's that time, isn't it?
Yep.
It's that time. Amber is a kids pastor. She's also a youth pastor at church and editor of KidzMatter magazine. Does a lot of stuff at KidzMatter and writes books and homeschools, and she does it all. She's a rock star, and we're glad that she's here. Ryan, for somebody that's never met Ryan, which, man, what a great name. What a great name, Ryan. Tell us about yourself and your ministry and what your day-to-day is like.
Yeah, that's a great question. So my day-to-day, I am a father of four. I'll start with that.
Yep.
Father of four, married for 16 years. That's right. It'll be 16 years this December. Had to do a quick math check. Yep. I'm with Sharefaith Kids. Also, Protect My Ministry is one of the other kind of main areas where I find myself living. And so a lot of the day-to-day is really great because I get to work with just tons of pastors and ministries all over the country and trying to figure out, hey, what are best practices? What can we do to streamline our volunteers? What can we do to make sure we have safe environments? And so it's a great opportunity, and I like it 9 days out of 10, which I feel like is a pretty high success rate. Like
I think it's a real high success rate.
9 days out of 10 is pretty good.
I think you've got it. And Ryan, you've been doing this for a long time. I mean, you've been with Protect My Ministry for, is it 10 years?
14.
14 years.
Yeah, 14 years as of April. Yep, this past April made 14 years.
No, if they've kept you around this long, you must be doing a great job. So,
or they're just not finding a whole lot of better options out there, I'm thinking. So David, I have a chat going on the side. David was saying that he keeps coming in. It's bringing him in as a viewer. So I don't know if there's a way.
Okay, let me find him. Yeah.
See if we can promote him because it should be fun.
I can give him a promotion. Okay, I think I just promoted him, so he should be coming in.
There we go.
Wonderful. There he is. All right,
Holy cow.
David, what's going on?
I think I'm just going to be the comic relief of this panel. I got some dental work done today on both sides of my mouth, so I'm not confident in how anything's working in that area right now. So just,
oh my gosh,
is what it is. Schedule is what the schedule is.
Yeah, it's good planning on your part, David. Like, choose to do major mouth work just in a couple hours before you have a webinar. I mean, you're planning.
I'm here to make Amber and Ryan look really good. They're going to be like, oh man, those two panelists, gold.
I love it. We're just doing some round of intros. Amber introduced herself. Ryan introduced himself. David, tell us about your work with Sharefaith Kids and maybe about your family and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I've been at Sharefaith Kids for 5 years. We make digital Sunday school lessons, VBS, all sorts of KidzMatter curriculum.
Yep.
Prior to that, I was a kids pastor, youth pastor, teaching pastor for around 10 years at a church here in Medford, Oregon.
Okay.
So I just love the church, love kids ministry. I've been married to my wife, Samantha. We're coming up on our 20-year anniversary, and I've got 2 teenage boys going to school, and then a daughter who's about ready to graduate college in December.
Oh, wow. Love it. Love it. A lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump in. Today we're talking about VBS. We're not going to really talk about, we've had a few of you have asked, like, which VBS are you talking about? This is more training for everybody. And so whatever VBS you're using, I think that you're going to find a lot of value. Thanks for tuning in. Facebook, thanks for being here. We did have a good number of you that you've registered to get the recording later that you want to share with your team. You weren't able to join us live. So as you watch this later, thank you for your time. I'm feeling a lot of energy from the Kidmin community about VBS. I think everybody missed doing VBS last year. If you did it, it was different. A lot of great energy. I think one challenge everybody is facing is getting volunteers and recruiting them and making sure they're ready. Ryan Carter, let's start with you. Maybe you could lead this part of the discussion for a couple minutes. Thoughts on, in a post-pandemic, if we can say we're post-pandemic, as we move to post-pandemic, any thoughts on recruiting volunteers, and then not just recruiting them, but what do we need to be doing once we've recruited them? Because I know this is something you're passionate about, to make sure that they're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to hijack a lot of the content from a great ebook that Sharefaith Kids put out on recruiting and maintaining volunteers. And it's great because it applies, I think, for your every week Sunday school experience and your Sunday morning kids ministry, as well as VBS. But I think there's a couple of things that we want to hit. So I'm going to hit just a few bullet points. So the first one is don't be overly staff dependent. Realizing that VBS and Sunday morning ministry in general is such a heavy lift on our staff and everyone. I know as Kidmin experts and people who are in that day in and day out, the amount of work that is expected and required of all of us is very heavy. I remember I was in ministry before Protect My Ministry, doing youth ministry and working in churches. And I remember coming into it like, this is going to be great. I'm going to get to study the Bible and be involved in ministry. And it's like, great. So here's what we got to do: cleanup, we got to do setup, we got to do tear down. And I was like, oh, where's all the teaching and the learning that I was hoping to get involved in? Yes. And it was a huge shift and paradigm for me. So we want to focus on our team building of volunteers and relying and giving them responsibilities that go beyond our staff. And so we don't want to be overly staff dependent. It's going to be just too much taxing. You're going to burn out. It's going to cause resentment and issues. We want to also, just a couple of practical tips and tools on getting volunteers involved is we want to issue invitations to individuals, especially if we know people who are high impact, high energy, high influencers within our communities. We want to issue individual invitations and not just the broad invitation style from the pulpit or the stage or from your church website. So those are great communication tools, great pieces. We don't want to leave those out, but it's a lot like kind of throwing out an invitation to a class, say, does anyone have any feedback, versus me saying, hey, David, what do you think? If I were to ask David a question in particular by name, he's going to be much more responsive and he's going to be a lot more engaged in whatever that conversation is, as opposed to a general announcement feel. So find and identify those key influencers, those people that you know are going to be impactful to your ministry and influencing in the children, and really invite them by name. And when you do, don't just approach it apologetically. Don't come in and say, hey, I'm really sorry to ask. Let's strike that from our vocabulary and understand, like, we're asking people to help advance the kingdom, and we're giving them and presenting an opportunity. It's not an inconvenience, right? And so we want to come from the perspective of we're working to advance the kingdom. We're working to impact and change lives, and we're not going to apologize for it. We want to give you this opportunity to make a difference and to be involved in a really tangible way. And we'd love to invite you to come alongside in this journey. And so present it in a way that is an opportunity, not an apology. I know if I'm a volunteer too, and you come in and say, hey, I'm immediately like, uh-oh, I don't know what's about to happen, but it's not going to be good if the tone starts like that. And then another, just a very practical thing too, give a time frame. You know, don't say like, I mean, it could be sometime between like Monday or Sunday from 6 a.m. to midnight. I don't know exactly. give a defined time frame of, hey, we're looking for, this is the position, this is the requirement, this is kind of the requirement, what the ask is. So you've got a good, clear communication. You're doing it in a way that's presenting an opportunity, and you're being very clear on what the expectation is, and putting it in that kind of frame, I think will really help invite more volunteers and get a better response from the people that you do talk to.
I love it. Those of you that are on Zoom, I'd love for you to hear, first of all, I should have done this at the beginning, where you're joining from. And those of you watching on Facebook, leave a comment, let us know where you're joining from. Amber, do you have any, would you throw, is there one more thing that comes to your mind when you think of recruiting for volunteers? What have you found works well for your church going into VBS?
I think it's also important to know the best spot for the person. So you're kind of recruiting them for the right area, because you don't just want a body filling a spot. You want the right person in the right job. And when you open it up, like bulletin announcement, hey, we need VBS volunteers, you can end up with the wrong people in the wrong spots, which then make the right people not want to be there. We had that situation with a snack lady who just her general personality. She loves kids, but she also is like a fusser at kids. And I had a whole team of snack ladies be like, we're out if she's in here again. So make sure when you're doing the individual invites that you have people where it's the best fit for them, and make other plans if you can't get the right person in the right job, because it will go so much worse if you don't have the right people. Get creative, rearrange how you're doing things rather than just putting a body in to fill a spot.
Yes. Ryan, before we move to the next topic, talk to us briefly about Protect My Ministry, because as we think about our volunteers, a lot of you have already started recruiting volunteers for VBS. Maybe you have them all lined up. We need to make sure that beyond just getting them recruited and here's what you need to do, we really do need to make sure that they're background checked. So if nobody's heard of Protect My Ministry, will you take 30 seconds, 60 seconds, tell us what it is, how it works?
Okay. Yeah, good question. So Protect My Ministry, we're the largest provider of background screening and safety for churches and faith-based organizations. So we serve over 30,000 churches, all 50 states. And really what we want to do is come alongside you and say, hey, we know that you've got volunteers that you need to screen and make sure that they're safe. So we provide comprehensive, cost-effective background checks. They start as low as $6. They go from $6 to $15. So it's very, very, very cost-effective to do that on at least a national criminal, national sex offender. You want to cover and make sure that you've got a level of coverage for your volunteers that, hey, we've done this, we've screened some people, and we've made sure that we're not hiring people who are high risk. And then we also have safety policies where you can train both your staff and your volunteers on signs of sexual abuse or neglect, things that you need to be aware of and spotting. And it's a 35-minute online training video that is a fantastic resource. So once the volunteer watches that from their home, their computer, their iPad, they have to pass a quiz verifying they didn't just hit play and walk away, but they actually sat and engaged. They pass a quiz, they get a certificate of completion. The church gets a copy of it as well. So you can have all in one place people who have been background checked, they've gone through training, and then we have other safety policies and best practices for churches, like no volunteers by themselves. What do I do about minors who want to volunteer? What are the best ways to do that? So we've got a lot of really great resources when it comes to protecting and putting in good safety policies. And I'd love to, if you want more information, direct those questions to me or sales at Protect My Ministry or info at Protect My Ministry, whatever. Yeah. And got a lot of great things, especially we know VBS is a big time with a large chunk of volunteers. We're doing bulk discounts. We're doing, hey, send us a list. We'll knock them all out for you at one time. A lot of ways to make that convenient and easy for your church. So if you don't already have a solution, let me know.
You need to go check it out. It's, the website is protectmyministry.com. And I would say Kidmin leaders, even if you have a volunteer that is just helping for VBS and they're not teaching Sunday school all year long or whatever, they still need background checked. They really do. And for, as Ryan said, $6, $10, $15, it's an investment really that your church has to make. So please do that. And there's a lot of great training on there. I'm glad you mentioned that, Ryan. All right, David, let's shift gears a little bit and go to you. So let's talk about VBS content. Now I know at Sharefaith Kids, you have a VBS. that you're pretty proud of. And I encourage you, if you don't know what VBS you're using, go to Sharefaith or sharefaith.com, go to the kids part, and you'll find the VBS. But regardless of what VBS you're using, talk to us, David, about what do we need to get right when it comes to the content of what we are teaching, the stuff in that box. It's more than just the bells and the whistles and the decor and the theme. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess before I jump in there, real quick, just to follow up on a couple things previous.
Yeah, it'd be
I
great.
think VBS is a critical time for leadership. And so when we talk about getting the right volunteers in the right place, and that's so spot on, in particular, that matters in the area of leadership. And so you can get a wide range of people wanting to volunteer, but identify those people that lead in some way in their daily lives. Those skills are so valuable when you have leaders of leaders and multiple tiers of volunteers going on in there. And then just following up, I've sat through several presentations that Ryan has done at KidzMatter and other conferences, and there's a lot to background check. So I really would encourage anyone who wants to learn more about that, either finding a service or just learning about it in general, what you need to be aware of to check him out. With VBS, I would say the most important thing that we're looking at is the gospel of Jesus Christ. I mean, that's why we do it. We want to change the lives of kids. And we want to set volunteers up for success in doing that. And VBS is great because it's fun, it's high energy. There's usually tons of games or crafts or activities. You get all these volunteers engaged, but it's not entertainment exclusively. That's not why we're doing it. We want to create an environment where we confidently and boldly share the gospel with kids. And so I would say above anything else, that's what we're trying to get right. We're trying to keep our focus on the main thing. Yeah.
David, talk to us about the Sharefaith VBS, because I believe there's a couple of them. I just dropped a link into the chat. These are 5-day VBSs. Will you tell us what maybe makes them unique or what makes them special?
Yeah, for sure. So we have 4 different VBS programs. Each one is designed to cover a 5-day period of time.
Okay.
And each one of them, it'll take a story like the life of David or the life of Moses or the life of Daniel, and it turns into a 5-day presentation of the gospel where we look for gospel themes throughout those stories and then conclude with a salvation message. I'd say what makes them unique is that they are 100% digital and fully downloadable. So there's no waiting to order your VBS. Okay. There's no kind of trying to get the pieces and parts there and going, that doesn't quite work for us. And I think what it's keyed off of in the last year and why it's really resonated is there's so much flexibility in that. And I think as we've gone through the last year, kids ministry, flexibility is just, it's at a premium right now. We've all had to shift and pivot. And so having resources that help you do that is so important.
Love it. In the curriculum, it's free if you're a member of Sharefaith Kids, right?
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, if you sign up for Sharefaith Kids, our VBS programs are all included in that Sharefaith Kids membership. And so any one of those 4 that you like, when you become a member, you're free to download that. Your membership will also include access to over 150 Sunday school lessons. Each one of those comes with activity pages, a Bible video, slideshows to walk through your service. We've got other content like Bible quiz videos and PowerPoint games. So there's just kind of the resources for any ministry to mix and match and kind of customize a service that fits perfectly in their context.
You need to go check out the Sharefaith Kids site, because they've got great videos, they've got great lessons, they've got all these VBSs, they have a lesson planner app where it's really cool to use with your leaders and your teachers. Definitely worth checking out. Amber, let's talk about promoting your VBS. marketing your VBS. Effective ways to do that. And then Ryan and David, if you want to jump in on this, you can.
Well, like I said, when we were doing introductions, I was working on postcards today. I think postcards are a huge way. What I do is I keep a list of attendees. You're getting the registration form for safety reasons. You have to know who to contact if there's a problem. So I make all of those into a database. I take kids out when they age out of the program, add kids in each year. At the end of VBS, I do a follow-up. We're so glad you were here. But then I have my list of anyone who's came in the last 3 years, and they get 2 postcards from me each year. At the beginning of the year, I'll do a save the date postcard. And most of your big curriculum companies offer a postcard pack that you can buy, and you just print and stamp and send. If not, you can make your own. I have found my kids really like it when I put their pictures on them. So I'll design one postcard that's just fun, and it's got the big group picture of all the kids on VBS, and it's got the date on there to save the date. You want to look at yard signs, depending on your church's location. If you're in a high traffic area, if you have several points of high traffic, get a big old yard sign. Yeah. Again, a lot of curriculum companies, they offer those big like vinyl things you can write on with a Sharpie, or if you have a sign company, you can make your own. Put the church website, put the date, put the ages. That is our number one, other than word of mouth, that is my church's number one effective advertising tool, is the big old sign in the churchyard. Social posts are really good too. We live in a social world, so be posting on Facebook and Instagram, wherever you think moms and dads are. Your area might have like a yard sale marketplace kind of thing. Chances are, yes, my town has like 8. We have 8 Facebook marketplaces, and I'll post in there that we have a VBS. We want the community to come. But then honestly, word of mouth is the best. Kids bring friends. If you create contests during your VBS, like, hey, anyone who brings a friend today gets an extra candy bar, they're going to bring friends. Or if they get a point system so their team wins, they're going to bring friends. You also want to make sure you have it on your church website. We live in a digital age. People are checking websites depending on the company that you go with. Some of them do have like national databases. So you could go to, for example, Answers in Genesis has this. You can go and search, are there any VBSs happening in my area or anywhere close to me? Yeah. So make sure you have a good presence online. You want good graphics, clear information, link it to the right website. But check what works. I put on my registration form every year, how'd you hear about us? Because you want to see what people are seeing. I was at the church when I started, I was told I had to do a newspaper article. And so we spent the money and we got a newspaper article. And after like 3 years, not a single person came to our VBS because of said newspaper article. Yep. No one reads the newspaper. So check to see what is the most effective way to get the word out about your VBS. And then also plan in advance. If you have the ability, at the end of your VBS, you need to be telling them when next year's VBS is. They're there. They just had a fun week. They've done like a commencement or they're getting a goodie bag. It's fun. They're ending on a high note. Mom and dad can go ahead and write in their calendars when VBS is the next year. Even if you don't know the theme yet, you can lock in the date. I send home a flyer because I want them to know. And if you also keep it at the same date every year, so it's the first week in June or the third week in July, whatever, the same week, they'll start. If you have a quality program where the kids are having fun, where they're learning about Jesus, you're bringing it, they're going to start planning their vacations around your VBS. So if you know, oh, well, we know we cannot go on vacation this week because that's when this church's VBS always is. They're planning in advance. They're telling their friends in advance. So those are my best marketing tips. You want to create a program that is so strong that they want to be there. You want boys and girls to feel so loved by you that they are having the best times in their life coming and learning about Jesus. And it's going to show by their attendance. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to be like, no, Mom, I don't want to go to the pool. I want to be at VBS. Create that atmosphere where kids want to be there to learn about Jesus, and word of mouth is going to spread. Moms and dads are going to bring them. Word's going to get out.
Amber, those are solid tips. Good stuff. Good stuff. I don't know if I have anything to add to that. We'll occasionally, Ryan, David, I don't know if you have anything to add. We've been doing this the last couple of years where we have a good relationship with our local school district, and they'll let us send a flyer home on the last day of school, just about VBS. Now, I don't know that we've ever measured, do any kids come from that, but it's a free way for us to do some publicity. At least those are great tips. David or Ryan, anything you want to add to that?
I think one thing that's super convenient and that I found helpful is like online giving softwares. A lot of times will come with like registration forms, and so you can do like a text to registration form that is so convenient for a parent, where they can see, you know, like Amber was saying, the graphic of your VBS, but then I'm there, you know, at church just registering my kid right then and there. And so I've always found that exceptionally helpful in trying to recruit and get people on.
That's good. That's good. We're going to Sharefaith Kids is giving each of you a really neat digital resource called the Practical Guide to Recruiting and Retaining Volunteers. Ryan mentioned this earlier. When we send you, we're going to send all of you the recording of this to go back and watch later, to share with your team. When you get that email, we're going to also give you a link to download this resource. Hope that it will bless you. Please do check out protectmyministry.com, sharefaithkids.com. I want to wrap up by talking about a few things that you can start doing right now to get ready and prepare for a great VBS. And you could have even started doing this, you know, months ago. First and foremost is kind of obvious, but let me just remind you, and that is pray about this. Really bathe your Vacation Bible School in prayer. This really, as David mentioned earlier, it's all about the gospel. And for so many of you, you really do use VBS as one of the major outreaches of your children's ministry into your community. So pray for every aspect of what you're going to be doing and get people praying. There are senior adults in your church and others that they're never going to teach a lesson. They're not going to show up at VBS to help you run games, but they would join your VBS prayer team. And I promise you, if you gave them a new prayer request for VBS every week, they would pray for your VBS. So make VBS a matter of prayer. Here's number 2. Start recruiting early. If you haven't started, you really need to start, right? We're on the verge of June, which is crazy. If we would have been doing this webinar 2 months ago, I would have told you start recruiting now. Ryan gave some great tips for recruiting volunteers. And you were spot on, Ryan. It is recruiting is a personal, interpersonal thing, and it happens best one-on-one, not by just relying on announcements in the bulletin or slides on the screen as people are walking into church, or your pastor making some announcement before his message. It really does happen best one-on-one. Start recruiting now. One of the best tips that I have found for recruiting, both for Vacation Bible School and camp in the summer, is to go back, first of all, to the people that volunteered last year and, hey, can I count on you again? And then if they say yes, I always ask this question: well, who do you know that I need to know? Do you know anybody else that I could ask that might help with VBS? And they might think of someone that you've not thought of. You know, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you know or not, but my daughter's going to be home from college this summer. She'd love to help, or whatever. So start recruiting. Don't wait. Here's another thing you can start doing. If you haven't already started ordering your stuff, order your stuff as soon as possible, right? Because you don't want—
a lot of companies are on back order.
They are already on back order. I'm hearing the same thing. So get those orders in, get them in, even if it's not on back order, as long as it's taken to get stuff shipped these days, you want to make sure that you get it on time. 4th tip, be excited. Your excitement really is contagious. The people in your church need to see you excited about VBS. The parents need to see you excited about VBS. Those kids need to see you excited about VBS. So you need to really be bleeding VBS excitement whenever you're around the kids, as you're doing your thing on Sundays and Wednesday nights, and when you're making posts on social media. Everybody needs to know just how pumped you are. You know what, we couldn't do VBS last summer, or if we did it, it was different. We're back this year. We're thinking it's going to be the biggest and best. This is a can't miss thing. Kids, you're not going to want to miss it this year. That really will make a difference. And that can start right now. Start building that anticipation. Final tip, start empowering your team. Start empowering your team. Refuse to do it all alone. Even if your team, if you're at a smaller church and your team is one person, maybe your team is your 16-year-old daughter, right? Empower your team. If you can delegate and have a committee and have someone over the preschool part and the elementary part, the game part, whatever that committee for you looks like, empower them, give them your blessing to start building and making it happen. I hate to see anybody do everything themselves. I know some of you do that and you can, but it's not real sustainable, and you're really going to set yourself up to drop the ball on something or get burnt out. So try to bring people around you to help and empower them and tell them to go. Amber, David, Ryan, we're about ready to wrap up. Any closing thoughts? This has been a good discussion. If you have a question and you're on Zoom, you can post that in the comments or the chat. Any final word of encouragement you would give these VBS leaders as they kind of round third base and head toward home? It's almost go time.
I'll jump in on some of one of my big things that I always try to do. I've always been a why guy whenever it's anything, whether it's my parenting or employment or anything. I always like to ask why, and allow the why to be a big driver behind actions. And sometimes it's easy for us in ministry and in our daily lives to get caught up in the to-dos. There's so many things to do with VBS, whether it's curriculum or planning or games or snacks or all of that. And just, I want to remind everybody on this call, everybody's going to watch this video. I don't know, everyone's story is different, obviously, but my life was radically changed by VBS as a kid. And I remember so many of the foundational elements of my faith were formed in VBS. And so understanding that we're making impact for eternity during this week. It's not just, we're not babysitting. We're not just creating an environment where parents can offload their kids so that they can have some free time. Like, that's not the point. Understand that during your VBS time, there's opportunity for life change, and there is impact, and know what difference you're making for the kingdom, and realize that it's more than just a camp that you're doing as a service for your community. It's life change, and allow that why to be what fuels you throughout this planning process, because it's going to be hard, and there's going to be times where you're just exhausted and overwhelmed and overworked and underappreciated and not recognized for all the hard work. So realize that you are making an impact for eternity, and it's impactful, and we appreciate it. I think I can speak for everybody on this call for sure. We appreciate that, and just keep it up. Keep it up.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. David, for having dental work, you've done a great job. I keep waiting, if you got numbed up on both sides, I keep waiting for you to get a bottle of water and take a drink just to see if you miss.
Dude, that last segment, I started having a little drool come out the side there, and I'm like, oh man, I can't. And this has been an awesome conversation. I think the one last tip that I would throw out there is put time on your calendar to do a VBS recap with all of your leaders after it's done. The way that you improve year over year is to take a bit of time while it's fresh in everyone's mind and go, hey, what worked really well? What could we improve on? What should we never do again? And when a year goes by, you forget all those things that were right there in front of you. And so just make time, set it on everyone's calendar. Hey, a few days or a week after VBS, we're going to get back together, and I want to hear your feedback. And we want to start a routine of this to keep making it better year over year.
Yeah, that's good. Amber, final tip?
Make VBS the best week out of their year. You don't know if you're going to have a kid who this is their first exposure to Jesus. So make sure from every single area, from decorations to snack to the look on your leader's face, make sure it shows that you love Jesus and you love kids. Because literally it could make an eternal difference. Don't settle for this will do, make it the best. And with that, take notes. Take notes on what bombed, because we all have them. Take notes on when great. Like I have a list of the favorite snacks of the kids because I know they look forward to having powdered donuts during snack time, and I work it in somehow.
Yep.
See what's over really, really well, because that's our goal, is we want boys and girls to meet Jesus and their kids, and it needs to be a fun way to meet Jesus.
I love it. Guys, this has been good. Next steps. Thank you for being here, Zoom. Those of you that are watching this later, listening to this later, those of you on Facebook, thank you so much. A couple next steps. First of all, please visit sharefaithkids.com. You owe it to yourself to go look at their Sunday school lessons, their VBS material, their lesson planner app. They've got comics, videos, all kinds of cool resources. Sharefaithkids.com. Also protectmyministry.com. And more important now than ever, than that you are protecting your ministry. Please, please, please. Even if your church is 30 people and you feel like I've known everybody, I've grown up in this church my whole life, you need to be protecting your kids, all of you. And if some of you realize I need to be doing this, but I haven't, and I haven't really known where to go, you need to connect with Protect My Ministry, because they will talk to you on the phone. They'll really hold your hand through this whole process. They're great people. Website is protectmyministry.com. Be watching your email in the next 24 hours. We will email all of you the replay video, the recording of this training, so that you can share it with your team. You can go back and watch this again. We'll also send you the free ebook from Sharefaith Kids on recruiting and retaining volunteers. And then finally, if you need anything, please let us know. Let us know. Here at KidzMatter, Sharefaith Kids, Protect My Ministry, we really do want to support you in what you're doing. And any way we can serve you, we are in. We're only a phone call or an email, a Facebook message away. So please reach out to us. Amber, Ryan, David, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you all very much.
Hey, can I answer the Q&A question real quick, Ryan?
Yes, yes, yes.
We had someone ask a question that they can't go back to in-person VBS yet. So can they use the Share Kids VBS, the Sharefaith Kids VBS? Can that be virtual?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Ryan, we have a guide for hosting a digital VBS, and it's kind of a step-by-step process to build that out. And it comes with tutorial videos and a sample of one of our VBS programs that you can use. So I'll make sure that I get that ebook to you, Ryan, and you can include it in the follow-up.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you, David. Yeah, if you get me that today, I'll make sure that goes out in the email tomorrow. Wonderful. Everybody, thanks so much. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you soon.